You are now listening to Moneyology with the Miss Moneyologist, Tonya Collins.
Greetings and welcome to Moneyology with Tonya Collins, the Moneyologist, brought to you by Moneyality, Activate Your Mind, Circulate Your Money, and Some Kind of Way Solutions, which is a nonprofit that geared toward financial focus, cultural connections, and life lessons. As you listen to this show, we are about to talk about everything that is money. Moneyality mindsets make millions, and that's our goal, to get our mindsets correct. Tonight, this show is about a family affair with money, and we're going to have special guests on, my family members. This is a new podcast for me, and I'm excited about it. And I'm going to be able to share my first podcast with my family, actually 4 generations, my mom, my sister, my niece, and her daughter, my great niece. So I'm really excited about that. But for the first section, I am going to talk to you about Moneyality and how did I come up with Moneyality. The story is from 2015. I was working and I had a really great job. I'm an ESL teacher, and I was really excited about going back to work in the fall. And I actually ended up having surgery during that summer. And that summer surgery had me down. And I was unfortunate by not being able to go back to work. So I kept thinking, what can I do now? What do I love? What is my passion? And my passion has always been money and understanding how money works. I was a real big saver, like a fanatic saver. And as I began to think about it, I thought, wow, that's something that I've always done. I actually started teaching money classes back in Colorado back in the 90s. And that class I taught was called Reality Bites, and I taught that to high school students. So I've always had a love for money. And so as I was not able to go back into the classroom, I went to the Federal Reserve and they certified me as a personal finance teacher. And I was excited about that because I thought now I would have several options. If I went back into the classroom, I could be an ESL teacher, which I loved. And I also could be a personal finance teacher. So that was really the background of kind of how I got started in creating Moneyality. And Moneyality is really your money personality. And as I was recuperating during that summer, I started to do a lot of reflection on how did I get this way? Like, how was I such a fanatic saver? And how had my life been? And saving money and going to the clearance racks when I go in the stores. That's like the first place I go is to the clearance rack. I bypass all other sections of the store. So I kept on thinking, is this something that I've always had? And as I go through this podcast tonight, you're going to meet my family, but you're also going to hear stories about how I started saving. And that story in itself was really when I was 5 years old. And so doing research about Moneyality, I learned, as I call myself Miss Moneyologist, is that money and psychology really are hand in hand. And so Miss Moneyologist is how I have cornered myself to be doing all this research about how money and how I think and feel about money has just kind of changed over these years. And so I'm really excited to be able to tell you more about that. But let's just go back and let me tell you, my name is Tonya Collins, and I consider myself a Ritz girl, a woman raised in the SIP, and SIP meaning Mississippi. I'm really proud to be raised in Mississippi. There's a lot of things that have happened in Mississippi that have been amazing. There are a lot of great people that have come out of Mississippi. And so I love my childhood growing up there. So yes, I am a Ritz girl. I was raised in the SIP. So I actually went to the University of Mississippi. I got all of my degrees there. And some people love to make a joke about how many degrees I have, but I only have 3. I got my bachelor's there in business. Then I got an additional master's in student personnel. And then I got the an additional master's in curriculum and instruction so I could do the ESL. And ESL stands for English as a Second Language. And I actually did the coursework for the PhD and then got distracted on writing that dissertation. But I'm really proud. We're going to meet my sister who accomplished that goal, which I'm very proud of. So that's kind of the background of who I am and how I got here. So some more things about Moneyality. Moneyality is a course that I designed, and it's really to help children from K through 12 understand their personal finance goals and how to have a financial healthy life. And as I have done research, unfortunately, America is not doing well with helping children understand their financial goals and personal finance, especially with children. And because of that research, I've also realized that there are only 21 states in the United States that are mandated to teach personal finance to high school students. And hopefully there are going to be more, but that was a problem for me. And as I was getting certified through the Federal Reserve Bank, I realized talking to my colleagues in that class for that certification that there was not curriculum, there was it's a credit that you receive. And I've spoken to students and I've thought, like, how are you all learning about money in school? Some of them had different stories about just understanding a little about vocabulary, but they still felt lost. And I thought that's not fair. We need to do some different things about that. So during the time of that 2015, I decided that was what my path would be, is to create a course called Moneyality, Activate Your Mind, Circulate Your Money. And it's for K through 12. And it's going to roll out at the first of the year. But right now, I'm already ready to talk to anyone who's interested and kind of do some pre-orders so you can be prepared and be ready. Like when 2023 hit the ground running, you'll be ready to introduce it to your students or even to your children at home. So that is how Moneyality got started. During the course of Moneyality, you're going to take a Moneyality assessment. And each one of my guests have taken that assessment, and it tells you about the 5 money personalities that I focus on. And they are splurger, keeper, tracker, adventurer, and mingler. And each one of them are designed to have different things that teach you about how you think and feel about money. And I do want you all to know that we all have all 5 of them inside of us. They say that our money personalities are part of our financial DNA. And I believe it, because you can activate any of them at any point in your life. And you're just really strong. You have a primary and a secondary. But as I have gotten older, I see that I am bringing in different ones and saying, wow, it just gives me a different headspace on how to understand that I can make different choices. So a little about that assessment is that I took the assessment as a child. My favorite thing to do was save for snow cones, or snowballs is what we call them in the South, in the SIP. And I love them. They were like my all-time favorite. They really still are. And they were 35 cents at the concession stand at the community park when I was a little girl. And that concession stand, to get 35 cents, you could get all the flavors. So my first encounter was understanding 35 cents. Like, what is 35 cents? So I'm going to say that my mom probably will say she doesn't remember this, but I had to have asked her, can I have 35 cents for this snowball? And that would have been a quarter and a dime. That's how I remember it. And saving that 35 cents meant the world to me. And anyone that I would probably ask for money, it was going to be for 35 cents. I have a funny story that I can't remember which one of my uncles it would have been, but I remember they gave me 2 nickels and a quarter. And I told them, this is not 35 cents. I need that quarter and dime. And because as a child, I didn't know that the 2 nickels was equivalent to the dime. So I actually started counting and understanding money at an early age, which would have been around, like I said, 5 years old. And so starting there, saving for that and keeping it and just having it, trying to budget. I learned to even save it for the week on determining how many snowballs I could have that week. That was really important to me. So that is how Moneyality works. We're going to also talk to my niece when she comes on. She's 5 years old. And as I said, the program is going to be designed for K through 12. When it rolls out, it's going to be for high school students. But remember, I am determined to have it for all children from K through 12. So she's going to be able to talk about it. I talked to all of my nieces and nephews about money, and that is very important for me. And one of the big questions I always ask people is, what's your first memory of money? If you can remember whatever it is, how did you respond? How did you act? It really makes a difference in me understanding your Moneyality type. And again, you get the assessment, which is going to vary in number, but everybody that took the assessment here tonight has taken 20 questions, and they have been able to identify their primary and secondary Moneyality types. I also wanted to share with you that just in little things with my niece that's going to show, Raven is going to be coming on later. I remember my nephew, her brother, Lil Marve, he would always say, Auntie, you can monetize anything. And I always say, yeah, I'm always thinking about how can I make that into something that we can earn money from. But that has really always been a part of my personality, and thinking of what creative ways can I turn something into making a dollar. So I've always thought it's always about the money. And unfortunately, because I told you I've had to horn in on understanding that those five are within me. And so if they are part of my financial DNA, I literally have to pull from them. And so with that story, I remember just having nieces and nephews tell me that my gifts to them were books or something educational. I just thought, as a keeper, which is a saver, we don't buy things that do not that we feel are not relevant or just throwaway money. So for the longest time, I'm telling you guys, for the longest time, it was hard for me to buy my nieces and nephews anything other than educational toys, books, or a computer or something. But over time now that we're going to meet my little great niece, Cassidy, she gets to have the rewards of me knowing that it's okay to get them some things that they want. It's okay to let them just have time to splurge on just getting candy at the store. Or Cassidy likes to get the bath bombs, and I'm looking at them thinking, oh my gosh, this little girl want me to pay $16 for some bath bombs. But that's where I'm maturing. I'm learning that it's okay to splurge. So I'm excited about this show, because this show is going to be all about money, but it's also about understanding your money personality, which is also your Moneyality type. And with that being said, we're going to start this family affair with my mom. We're going to welcome Kathy Collins onto the show with us tonight. I'm really honored to have her. So, Mother, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
Great. So, Mother, you took the assessment. How was it? How were some of the questions? Tell me what you thought about the assessment.
Um, it was different from what I've known, and it's totally different with how I came up and when I came up.
Tell me a little more about
as
that.
far as saving the money, listen, as far as saving money, I think I'm listed as a keeper.
You are, based on what we talked about, you are a keeper and a splurger, but her primary is a keeper and her secondary was a splurger. My primary is a keeper. My secondary is an adventurer. And I am going to pause right there, Mother, and let me just tell you a little more about them so you have a better understanding. As a keeper is a saver. A keeper is the person that I describe when I'm talking about myself. Somebody who saves money They are constantly kind of hoarding things. They like to look at their accounts and they know where their money is. And keepers are people that are really uh, we probably call them cheap. They call them, I've been called all kind of names. That was another reason that I started Moneyality, that I'm cheap, that I am, what's some more names, Mother, that they would call you? Cheap, you are, what else would somebody call you if you don't like to spend money? I've been called them whatever they are, selfish, all of that. That, just that's what part of being a keeper is. And then a splurger is a person who takes pride in buying things for themselves, but they're also very generous. They buy things for others. A splurger is a person that just likes spending money. And there, right there, is a problem for Moneyality. Moneyality, we do not use the word spend. We use the word circulate because, in my understanding, we want to circulate money. We want it to leave us and then come back around to us. It doesn't have to be the boomerang effect, but it does give you a better perception of understanding that it's not a negative when you are a splurger. It's okay to be able to enjoy pleasures of your life. And that's my goal. As I teach strategies on how to find a balance in that. So my mom is a splurger. And then we have the adventurer, which is my secondary. An adventurer is a person that's a risk taker. As an adventurer, I'm either going to be broke or I'm going to be a billionaire. And a lot of times that's such a battle for me because as a keeper, I'm constantly want to save. And then as an adventurer, I want to take risks. So I give my personal finance guys a run for their money on what they can invest. And then you have a tracker is a person that plans. A tracker is someone that knows their money, but they're always planning for the future. Trackers are people that have calendars. They are always trying to figure out like what's plan A and what's plan B, but they normally don't like plan B. When they think about things, it's strictly plan A, and they are going to be a great person if you're trying to go on a trip. They plan the whole trip. They know where you're going to eat, where you're going to sleep, how much it's going to cost, all of that. So I kind of enjoy having that tracker friend. And then there's a mingler. A mingler is someone that does not put a lot of value into money. And that's okay. They don't put a lot of value into money. They like relationships. So one of the great strategies for a mingler is they move with the closeness of how they interact with their family or friends. If you give them a suggestion and they totally respect you, then they would probably want to invest in that. But otherwise, they are really charitable people. They kind of pull back from money. They don't even really want to deal with money. So I'm sorry, Mother. I just wanted to kind of give everybody an update on exactly what they were. So now, Mother, you being a keeper and a splurger, what do you feel about that for yourself? How do you feel that they work for you?
The keeper is that I do things that I need to do. So I make sure that everything is paid as far as bills and what need to be done. So that's the keeper part of me, keeping money, not saving, but making sure that I have the necessities to pay what need to be paid. Okay. That's the keeper part of me. But the splurger is sometimes I might just buy something that I want, but it's mostly like I think I need it, but I be buying it because I want it, but I put it in the category that I need it. I don't really think I'm a splurger at all, but that does fall under that category.
I hear you, Mother. And you know what? Some of that is part of the keeper mentality too, Mother, because we are hoarders. We see something that's a good price, we want to get it. And as you and
Yes.
I have talked about so many times, like, mother, why do you have these clothes with tags on it? Well, I find myself being like you when I'm in a store and something is 50 cents. I be thinking, wow, I should get this. But I've learned, leave that. That 50 cents can be put somewhere else, because when am I really going to use it? If it's 50 cents and I'm never going to wear it, it's a waste of money, right? So
Right.
I think we're
Mhm.
very similar in that. So tell me, mother, what did you think as a child? What was your first introduction to money? What is your story?
Um, my parents were farmers, so we didn't have that much money. So my first remembrance of money would be when we would go to town, shopping, or go to town with our parent, and they would give me that limited amount of a quarter of 50 cent back in those days, and I just liked. And I had to buy me something to eat with that because we were from the country, and I always bought something like not ice cream, but ice milk with cookies. I bought my dessert with that money
Okay.
because that was my little celebrating allowance that I had for me only. So I didn't have money in under that to buy something else. This was my little free money that for me to do something for me with.
Very good. I
Oh,
like that. I
but
like some food too. I have never been skimping on no food plans when I when I go to restaurants. I feel like I can splurge because that's something I love, is splurging on my food. So let's talk about, mother, raising three children. How were, because some of the funny things that you may or may not know is that, if you don't mind me saying, that when we were on government assistance, I used to take any dollar food stamp somebody would give me and take it to the store, buy a piece of penny candy so I could save it and ration it out into those 35 cents so I could get those snowballs. And when you were raising us, did you use a budget when you were figuring out your groceries, how you were going to be doing anything? Did you use a budget?
yes, I did. The budget was necessities, so I wrote down what I needed to have for groceries and what I was gonna get if I went shopping, whatever. I had a list,
That's very good.
but
I
um,
like that you had a list.
yep. But mostly it would be for the grocery because I knew how much money I had, and it wasn't that much money out there. So you had to do what you had to do with the money you had. So that's the way I did it. I would buy grocery and what need to be bought. And then if it came the time that I had some left over, that's when I would buy something different.
So I explained to you what your keeper and splurger types were for part of Moneyality. Do you feel like over the years, from when you were going to the store with the money that you got from your parents, buying those things, to now, do you feel like there has been a shift in the way you see yourself with circulating money throughout your life? Now, do you feel like you are doing anything different, or it has remained the same?
No, it's totally different now because when I got a job, I went to making money, so that meant that I could splurge just a little. I said I wasn't, but then that meant I still had my priorities with necessities, and then what was left over, I did buy something that maybe I shouldn't have bought, but I had to like it, and it wasn't expensive. I would say, well, it doesn't cost that much, and I like it, so I get it. But it was like I did splurge.
You know what? And when you said you were a splurger, I don't never see that with you. I will say that all I've really recognized in you is the keeper, and that has always made me feel honored and proud, mother, because your name has been on my accounts, and I have been in different places of the world, and I've never feared, like, oh my gosh, my mom is going to spend all my money or something like
Mhm.
that. And that's part of a keeper's behavior. They are going to hold tight to saving that money. They are not going to just be spending it frivolously. And I like that. But is there anything else that you wanted to talk about with just your money thoughts, or how do you feel that quiz? I'm not quiz. Yeah, what's a quiz? That assessment um, made you feel? Like, were you surprised?
The question about the money nowadays is totally different because money is circulating. When I was a small child, it wasn't money was not circulating like now. I mean, you get a job, it was $15 a week. So, but now it's a totally different thing. If I had come up with that kind of opportunity and making that money, I would have saved and I would have been way comfortable now, but
Okay,
I didn't know. I didn't have the money to save, and I didn't know when I got the money actually how to save it.
which
I
is a
did as
very
best I could, but now I would have been much better.
good job. Thank you, Mother, for that. I agree. And so, with my mother's comment, it just reinforces how important it is to start with getting these children into understanding about their moneyality types and how I can help them use strategies to even take small amounts of money and make it grow into something bigger. So thank you, Mother. So, Mother, as you sit there, we're gonna bring in my sister. Her name is Sharon Lachey Collins. Come on in, sister, into the room. How are you?
I am great. I've been waiting for my turn.
So let's go then, sister. You can just start. Tell me, what are your thoughts about the assessment you took? What tell us first about what are your
Top two.
personality types, and then what do you feel about them?
Okay, well, I felt like my moneyality type is first and foremost, I'm a splurger, but that was no surprise to me. I answered the questions truthfully, and my result was that I'm a splurger because I am that person that likes to, buy stuff. I just feel like, tomorrow is not promised. I'm a fly by the seat of my pants kind of girl. I like nice things, and some of that, as I was listening to my mother, I got from my mother, our mother, because she was always fashionable. She always was very stylish, and she would buy clothes, and she kept us stylish. And so it's just in my DNA, I think, to be a person that's where a bulk of my money goes, just buying clothes, not necessarily expensive clothes. I shop for bargains. Like you, I don't necessarily go straight to the clearance rack, but I do make my way over there after the fact. But usually I go for style and fashion, whatever jumps out at me. But I like other nice things as well, be a vehicle or whatever. And so I think that the splurger part of my moneyality assessment was right on point. Now, the second choice was not necessarily because they were so spread out. It was evenly distributed amongst three other moneyality personalities, and so I don't know what to make of that. But the
Tell us what
splurger is
were those three that were equally together.
okay. That was adventurer, mingler, and tracker.
Okay.
Keeper wasn't even in the top four.
And so I like that though, because that lets us know that you kind of go high, you kind of plateau out, and then you kind of go down low. But
Yes,
we gonna help with that, sister. We're going to
yes.
get you in a place where, as I was sharing with our mother, is that it's not a problem. I don't want people that are splurgers to be walking around feeling poor about their choices, because we already have enough going on, and people sometimes will say, "Oh, you spend too much, you doing this or whatever," but until they are in the mind of a splurger, they'll never understand it. Like, nobody ever understands the mind of a keeper unless you are a keeper. So that's my big push, is to allow people to understand that there's no need to be bullying or calling people or saying what you should or should not be doing with your money if you don't even know your own money personality and why you are doing the things you do. So, sister, I'm on board with you. We're going to talk about strategies to kind of help us get even balance on understanding. Like even with you and my mom being splurgers, I will say the best solution right now would be starting to track your things. Like you don't use the word budget. People tend to be fearful of that word, but just start writing down a list of things and then look at them and prioritize them. So when you do get your pay, you can decide, oh, maybe I'll just get the top one and then maybe get the next one the next month. It's no need to try to get them all in the same month. That normally is what hinders people, is that they're so eager. They want that instant gratification to get them instantly. But you know what? You can slow it down. So we'll work on that part. Okay. So, sister, anything else you want to say? What's your first experience with money, sister? Do you remember?
Well, I can't remember when I was just a young child, but I do remember about 14 when I got my first summer job. I always worked in the summer and I was so excited. And I was telling our mom that I think my check would be like $88 for, every 2 weeks. But I did now I have to say that I was a keeper back then, sort of. Well, I wasn't necessarily a keeper, but because I want to take the load off of our mom in terms of buying and paying for stuff, that I would use my money that I made in the summer, pay for my cheerleading stuff, anything I had to buy for school. Now that was important to me, to make sure that I didn't, create unnecessary. I could relieve some of her burden of having to, take care of us and buy, and pay for stuff by paying for things that I could pay for myself. So I'm very proud of that, my experience with money and what I did with the money. And, because I always thought that, my brother and my younger sister did not consider that, even if they had money, they still saved their money and wanted my mother, our mother, to spend her money, which was a little different, which I'm totally different from. So I think my splurging is, I don't even look at it as a bad thing. I like that it's a moneyality assessment, and we are talking about your money personality. And I am welcoming any suggestions that you can give me, because you've been trying to help me, sister, to get my finances, together and be a little more conscious about saving. But I believe that as I'm getting older, I'm noticing a lot different behavior when it comes to that. Well, not a lot, but slow differences in my behavior. But I, I think it's just some things just fit people's personality, and it just is what it is, and it may or may not ever change. Even though I welcome the change.
And that's a interesting observation. So I will say this, sister, you are right as far as my brother. Since he's not here, we're not going to elaborate on his mind. But for me, I did respect our mother and try to save her money, but I also was so rigid in my saving that I will agree that I was like, I already had plans in my mind for my money. So I did end up playing the cornet because you left Shay and left it. And so I didn't think my mom would want to purchase a new instrument for the band. And I begrudgingly played that cornet, which is a trumpet. But I will agree. We all had summer jobs. I know you and I did. And I used to save that money and I would be able to eat out during the school year. But I was always a good salesperson. Whatever our fundraisers were, I was going to sell it to pay for my cheerleader stuff. But I agree, you were very kind-hearted in helping our mom in those areas, and so I'm sure she thanks you and I thank you.
Well, thank you, Shay.
So, anything else, Shay, before we move on to bring in our third generation of Collins women that are on this podcast? Are we ready,
No, no.
Raven
Okay.
Collins?
We're ready.
Hi, Raven.
Hey.
I am excited, guys. So as I am now on this podcast right now, everybody, we have four generations, and we are gonna. I mean, we have three generations now because Shay and I are sisters, but we're gonna have a fourth. But right now, I'm excited to bring on Raven Simone Collins, and she is going to share with us her assessment results. And let's talk about those, Raven. What were your two, your primary and secondary?
I am a keeper and a tracker to the
And
T.
and what do you think about that? Do you think they a part of who you are? Do you feel that they represent you well?
I think it does definitely represent me well in the space that I'm in currently, also as a mother, just trying to eliminate any barriers that I could face, and just keeping my child in mind. So I think that's definitely the space that I'm in currently, for sure.
Great. And you know what? With Raven and I, we are very similar. I will say that I am a keeper, and I can recognize Raven's characteristics in her sometimes when I have been around her. And I think me and her have made jokes about how we butt head, not only because of our zodiac sign being Taurus women, but now we are also going to know that we are both keepers. And which one was your primary tracker or keeper?
Keeper was my primary, tracker was second.
So now we see that we have three generations of keepers. My mom was a keeper, I'm a keeper, and Raven. And that and what I will say based on just my experience in researching, it's in our DNA. Like it gets passed down, and it's part of who we are, and it's things that you can work on. But ultimately, even as Cassidy, when we bring her on, it's part of who she is right now. She can already take the assessment if I would give it to her, and we would always be able to start preparing her based on how she thinks about money now, and to cultivate that into understanding that she can be okay to have a little instant gratification now, and maybe save some for later. But before that, Raven, what is your first memory of money? Do you remember?
I think my first memory of money was actually babysitting, getting $20 here, $10. It became a thing that was by force. So I was like, how can I make the most of this? How can I benefit from it? So doing so for my mom by force, I would go out and I would babysit for others by choice so that I could make money. So that was my first experience with money.
What did you do with that $20 here and $20 there?
I did things that definitely weren't keeper and tracker at that time. Buying me things. I love smell goods, clothes, shoes. So I had to watch several children in order to get to that point. But that's definitely what I did.
So when you go into the stores, were you buying brand name right off the rack, or would you wait and go to the clearance racks?
I went to whatever I could afford. So sometimes if I saved enough, I get something nice. Or if I couldn't, I get something that looked as nice but didn't cost the nice amount. So I just did what I could.
Good. So, any things about how you are living now? I know we're going to bring on Cassidy in a few minutes, but right now, you said you are shifting your mindset. Is being a tracker and a keeper a position that you want to stay in, or like tell me a little more about how does that make you feel as a mom?
As a mom, it's a safe space for me. However, I'm interested in like circulating the money. Um, stocks, things like that interest me, but I do have that hesitation because I don't have the control of it. It can adjust either way. So right now, the keeper and the tracker is my safe space. However, I do have an interest that I just don't pursue um, constantly, just because I know I have control in this aspect, but not yet here. Like for me, if I were to, start circulating and investing more frequently, I would need someone to do so for me or with me in order to get comfortable with it. So
I like that. At least you're thinking about it. And that's important to even have it on the forefront of your mind. And of course, your aunt, honey, I am here for you. As I was saying, I got three personal financial guys that handle my money. And I will say that I actually started investing at the age of 23. When I lived in Kansas City, I met a great personal finance guy, and he started introducing me to stocks and showing me how to buy different stocks. And but remember, I was already a saver, so it was just easy for him to take it to build the interest of the money that I was already saving and stuff like that. So I am here for you and that for sure, and helping you. And with that being said, let's bring on our fourth generation person. Let's bring on Cassidy. Look at my pretty girl. Hi, Cassidy. Cassidy, how are you? Good. So, Cassidy, do you mind if your TT asks you a couple of questions just so we can practice like we do in the car? Are you ready? Okay. So, Cassidy, when you buy something, do you look at the price when we're in the store? Do you ever look at the price when we're in the store shopping?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
You like looking at the prices?
Yes.
That is great. So do you think about how much money you have in your purse when you are shopping and how much you can spend or circulate, I'll say?
Yeah.
So, Cassie, let's talk about when we went to our adventure to Mississippi. How much money do you remember having in your purse?
7.
You started with how much? You had 7 at one time. You started with how much? I think you started with 10, Cassidy. So I'll help you so we can help move this along. You started with 10 and you said, TT, I have money that I'll share with you. And our first purchase was for what did we buy? We bought slushes, right? So those slushes cost $3. What do you remember what you asked me about paying for those slushes? What did you say about those?
I said I wanted the coconut one.
You wanted, I didn't hear you.
I said I wanted the coconut one at first.
Help me with that, Raven.
she wanted the coconut slush at first.
Yeah, she did. And so those slushes cost $3. And you asked me, I said, are you gonna pay for them? You said, I want to pay for them. And you asked me how many. No, you asked me what's gonna be the number on the bill, and I said it's gonna be a 1. And how many ones did you pass me? If it was $3, how many did you pass me?
How many dollars did you?
She's being shy, guys. It's okay. Because Cassidy, I will tell the story for Cassidy. Cassidy asked me, she says, TT, is it gonna be, what number is gonna be on there? And I said it's a 1. And she says, okay. And she passed me 3 of them. And I was so proud because just as I shared with you all in the beginning, I learned how to figure out that 35 cents by counting coins. And coins are very difficult for children. So most of the time you see children, they have a 20, they have a 5. They're not getting coins like we did. When my mother said she got like a quarter or 50 cents, they are getting actual dollars. but coins are very much a real thing. And so when I think about her understanding the dollars and being able to pass that to me, it makes me also think about how long will coins be around? Do I need to start Cassidy off with coins and showing her what a nickel is, what a penny is, and stuff like that, and how much each of those denominations are. So I love that, and those are things that I struggle with teaching children because coins are important. They normally get the dollars. They can know a five on a bill and stuff like that. But it's always interesting on the coin aspect on how long are coins going to be around? Are they even teaching coins in school? As we already know, I'm not sure. Raven, do you know if they're teaching Cassidy about money in school?
I don't think they're there yet.
No.
Yeah.
No, they don't even do it.
Cassidy said no, adamant no. She is not learning money in school, and I love that. That means for me that that's important for us to get Moneyality in the lower grades from K to 12. Okay, so we're gonna start kind of wrapping up. But anybody else want to share any other stories about their quiz and how that assessment has helped them to move forward? Or do you have questions for me as Miss Moneyologist? Do you have any questions that you would like to ask me? All of y'all got it so quickly in less than an hour? You ready?
Well, I would like to add that even though I am a splurger, I have started to build a slight portfolio, taken after my little sister Tonya, the moneyologist. So I have a few investments in the stock market, but nothing like I want it to be. So I am starting to get a little more focused on that, but just because I want to get more money to circulate, because if I make the money that I want to see, if my stocks really grow, I probably will end up selling them when it gets to a point that I think is impressive enough so that I can splurge some more. But I at least am trying to focus on being a saver or at least a risk taker, which would be which one, the tracker or
Adventurer.
venturer?
Yeah,
Yeah,
adventurer.
much. I mean, I'm taking risks that I wouldn't normally take, I guess, when it comes to investing in the stock market, because like my niece Raven said, yeah, you're not in control of it, and it can fluctuate up or down, at any given time, particularly in the times that we're living in now. But
That's
yeah, I
right.
just want to share that I am doing a little better.
And sister, say that with enthusiasm because you know what? As we know, our economy now is just so unstable that even me, I do a lot of the stock market and things like that. But what I will say is that when you talk to a financial advisor, they can put you in long-term bonds and things like that that are less riskier. So you don't have to have the fear that things are going to change or anything like that. So it's important that that happens. And so, fashion is one thing that I see when I look at us that we are some fashionable women, mother, that you passed down to us. And I I actually like to think that I have a very unique style, but I've always kind of thought of not putting a lot of money into clothes. That was never really my big thing. And I used to see borrow my sister Shay's clothes. I would be so happy when she came from college and I could take some of her stuff and wear it when I was in high school. But I have been so honored just to have all of you to participate in this family affair and understanding how family and money works. We could easily have another conversation about different parts of how families need to come together because of so many things for funerals or just investments and legacies and generational wealth. And I would love to have you all possibly come back for that at another time. But I will always recommend that when you are talking about families and families bonding together, I do see that that could be an amazing investment if a family does unite and start building together and leaving legacies and leaving things for little Cassidy, and just being able to explain to her that she sees that these are things that she'll have to when she's older, and she can have already start having a mindset that how she'll run a business or how she will do other things like that. So thank you ladies for that. And if there is anything else, um
Auntie,
yes, Nick.
so I'll say for this, I do think the assessment has definitely reaffirmed me, just to let me know I'm on track, I'm doing the right thing. Even when I want to dabble, I just feel like this assessment for sure just let me know, like, keep going, and then explore. And so, like you said, I do have you to look to, auntie, grandma. But it makes me feel good to know that I'm on track. And then also that I do have those options to kind of navigate it a little differently. So I appreciated this for sure.
Good. And mother, I would like to just think for you, are you proud of the fact that you were left some generational wealth from your parents to have property that came down? I mean, because that is special. Not
I
everybody
think I missed it.
have that. How do you feel about that before we close out?
Uh, I'm proud that my our father did leave us something, and I think that's the way it should be. And I think you are on town with that, with these youngsters. And the only thing about them being on this saving and these things you have talking about is that I don't know what age to start. Maybe 5, because I think Cassidy understands. So we need to, with them, start early, because the way she answered you, she knows what she's talking about and she's understanding. So the thing is, catching with our younger generation is at her age, because if she knows how much something costs and how much she can save, she's all for that.
I
Yeah,
agree.
and yes, our parent did leave us something, and that's amazing. And I think we might be able to leave the next generation something. You know,
I agree.
that's
And because I do not have children that I have birthed, I have loved my nieces and nephews so much that most of them are part of my legacy, and I am leaving them different things, and I have not shared that with them because they need not be coming looking for it right now. But I love the idea that I will have things to leave for them. And my brother Marvay, Deron Marvay Collins, he was not able to join us, so we just did the ladies, which were the fourth generation of the Collins women. But my brother is a phenomenal businessman. He is the owner of New Era Pest Control. And one of my favorite stories about New Era Pest Control is that I had unwanted tenants in my attic and they were taking over, and they are called squirrels, and he was able to send his crew over to get these squirrels out of my attic. And I will tell you, if you need any pest control, you need to reach out to New Era Pest Control. Their number is 901 398 7378. And you can also go to newerapestcontrol.com, and that's new, NUERAPSTCONTROL.com. That's New Era Pest Control. So anything else for anyone? Okay, well, I have enjoyed that. I am going to be wrapping this up. I do have some endorsements that I would love to share with you all. Please check out Joy Media Group at joymediagroup.net, and the number is 901 286 8102. Joy Media Group does uh, all types of media things. She actually has helped me with filming different things. She will do fashion shows or just whatever media needs you would have. And then Nick Venti Design is a one-stop shop for mobile apps, animation, and web design. His number is 662-902-9737. And for me, just Moneyology with Tonya Collins, the Miss Moneyologist. I am always thinking about money and how it can improve our lives, how it will be around to leave generational wealth. But I'm also a big component before I do sign off to let you all know that when I think about money, it's not just as a tool to get things. One of my biggest push is that we can barter for things. And when you are bartering, you're able to get rid of things that you normally wouldn't have and then be able to get something in exchange. So I'm always a big proponent of bartering, and which is part of understanding money. That's one of the things that we did prior to even having currency or coins and things like that. So I'm really honored for that. I also want to give a shout out to Christy Taylor and her media her media company for just being an awesome producer, and she has been instrumental in helping me with understanding my podcast and the podcast center. So if any of you are interested in having a discussion with me about all things money, please reach out to me at moneyalitycourse@gmail.com, or you can call me at 724-242-7458. It has been such a pleasure to come on tonight, and thank my family for having such an amazing family affair with understanding family and money. And thank you all so much, Mother Kathy Collins, my sister Sharon Collins, my niece Raven Simone Collins, and my great niece Cassidy. I love all of you. Thank you so much. And we are going to be signing off until next week. Please look forward to talking to anyone that's interested in coming on. And we will be airing on October the 8th at 9 a.m. on Saturday morning. It's an hour show. So thank you so much. And y'all have an amazing rest of the day. Take care. Peace.